The flickering street lamp cast long dancing shadows.
Sarah quickened her pace, her heart pounding against her ribs. An unsettling feeling crept up her spine. She wasn't alone.
Her eyes darted to the end of the street, catching a glimpse of a figure shrouded in darkness.
It stood motionless, blending with the night. Clutching her keys, she forced herself to look away.
But deep down, a primal fear began to stir within her. Reaching her front door, Sarah fumbled with her keys, her hands trembling. She could feel her heart pounding in her ears. She glanced over her shoulder, her breath catching in her throat.
The figure was back, standing at the edge of her vision. It hadn't moved, but its presence felt closer, more menacing.
Fear coiled in the pit of her stomach. She struggled to tear her eyes away, her mind racing with terrifying possibilities.
Who was this figure? What did it want?
Fumbling, she finally managed to unlock the door and practically threw herself inside, slamming it shut behind her. She leaned against the door, her chest heaving as she fought to regain her composure. The silence of her apartment was deafening, broken only by the sound of her own ragged breathing. She peered through the peephole, her heart pounding in her ears. The street was empty. The figure was gone, but the fear lingered, a cold knot in the pit of her stomach. Days turned into sleepless nights. The shadowy figure haunted Sarah's every thought. She couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, the chilling certainty that she was not alone.
The fear became a constant companion, gnawing at her resolve.
News of strange occurrences began to surface, whispers of disappearances in the dead of night, people vanishing without a trace. A chill ran down Sarah's spine as she listened to the hushed conversations, her mind conjuring images of the shadowy figure. The stories fueled her paranoia, amplifying the fear that gnawed at her sanity. She felt a growing sense of dread, a creeping certainty that she was being drawn into something sinister, something beyond her understanding. Her once safe and familiar neighborhood now felt like a hunting ground, shrouded in an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. Sleep offered no escape, only vivid nightmares of the shadowy figure. It haunted her dreams, its presence growing stronger with each passing night. Sarah felt herself teetering on the edge of sanity, her grip on reality slowly slipping away. Driven by a mixture of fear and a strange sense of determination, Sarah decided to confront her fears. She couldn't live in the shadows any longer, her life dictated by paranoia and dread. She needed answers, even if they terrified her. Armed with a flashlight and a surge of adrenaline, she stepped out into the night. The air was thick with tension, the silence broken only by the sound of her own footsteps. Her heart hammered against her ribs, each beat echoing in the stillness. She walked towards the spot where she had seen the figure, her senses on high alert. The street was deserted, bathed in the eerie glow of the streetlights. The shadows seemed to stretch and contort, playing tricks on her already frayed nerves.
Hello?
Her voice came out as a shaky whisper, barely audible in the stillness. A cold breeze swept through the street, sending shivers down her spine. She felt a presence, something unseen watching her every move. And then she saw it. The figure, standing at the edge of the light, just as before. This time it took a step forward, its features becoming clearer. It wasn't a living person, it was a spectral figure, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light.
Who are you?
Terror threatened to overwhelm her, but Sarah stood her ground. This was her chance to understand, to break free from the fear that had consumed her.
I am a prisoner of this place, bound here by a tragedy I cannot escape.
The figure glided closer, its voice a mournful whisper that seemed to seep into her very bones.
It recounted a tale of betrayal and murder, of a life unjustly taken on that very street. It spoke of a thirst for vengeance, a need to right the wrongs of the past.
Sarah listened, her fear giving way to a chilling empathy. The ghost's tale took a sinister turn. It spoke of a curse, a cycle of violence that claimed the lives of those who crossed its path. Sarah's blood ran cold as it revealed its purpose: to claim another victim, to appease its insatiable hunger for revenge. She'd become the ghost's target, her fate intertwined with its tragic past.
She had to escape, to break free from the clutches of this vengeful spirit.
Turning on her heel, Sarah ran, her breath catching in her throat. The ghost's mournful cries echoed behind her, fueling her desperation. It was a race against time, her life hanging precariously in the balance. She could feel the ghost's presence closing in, its icy grip reaching out to claim her. The streetlights flickered and died, plunging her into darkness. She stumbled and fell, scraping her hands on the rough pavement. Struggling to her feet, Sarah pushed herself to keep running. Her lungs burned, her legs screamed for respite, but she couldn't stop. The thought of the ghost, of its chilling tale and its insatiable thirst for vengeance, spurred her on. As she ran, she remembered her friend Jenna, who lived just a few blocks away. Jenna, who had dismissed Sarah's fears as nothing more than an overactive imagination. A wave of guilt washed over her. She had to warn Jenna, to protect her from the fate that awaited her.
Jenna, open up!
Reaching Jenna's house, Sarah hammered on the door, her heart pounding in her ears.
Jenna, open up!
But there was no answer, only an eerie silence met her desperate pleas. Dread washed over her. The ghost's words echoed in her mind, a cycle of violence and another victim. She knew with a chilling certainty that she was too late. Jenna had become another casualty in the ghost's tragic tale. Sarah didn't remember how long she stood there, paralyzed by fear and grief. The weight of Jenna's fate pressed down on her. When she finally turned to leave, the first rays of dawn were breaking over the horizon.
She could have sworn she saw a figure standing in the window. It was the ghost, and it was watching her.